9:03, we'll call the meeting to order. Traditionally, we start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. So the first thing on the agenda is to accept minutes. And this is great because we will catch up and clean that up. And well, so let's start in the order of the oldest to the newest. So let's look at the June 23rd, 2016 meeting minutes. I looked them over and I didn't have any issues with anything. Did anybody have any issues? All right, seeing none then we'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes of June 23rd, 2016. Is anyone willing to make that motion?
I'll make the motion.
Ellen made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Marcia has seconded it.
I need to abstain. I wasn't there.
Okay. All, Greg, it's been a while for me.
Yes, sir.
With the quorum, are we able to approve minutes if we have 3 members voting?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So any further discussion on the minutes of June 23rd?
None?
All right. Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, so June 23rd minutes are approved. Then we will now go to the July 21st minutes. I didn't see any issues with those as well.
Yeah, I think we'll have a quorum for it because Joanne and I were not here. So there's just 2 of you.
Barbara and Todd, they should be here shortly.
Okay.
You want to go on that stack?
All right, we can do that. Let's go to the August 18th minutes.
Make a motion, we accept August 18th minutes.
All right, a motion's been made by Joanne to accept the minutes of August 18th. Is there a second?
Second it.
Ellen has seconded it. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. And then finally, there's the September 22nd minutes.
I'll make a motion, we accept September 22nd minutes.
All right, Joanne has made a motion to accept the minutes of September 22nd. Is there a second to that? Ellen has seconded it. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That's the only one we have to go back is the 21st of July. All right. Next up on the agenda, let's see, we have the update and discuss progress with the Dudley business brochure. We'll hold off until, see if Barbara or Todd show up. Review new website. I'll just kind of give you a quick update on the website. We did hold some trainings, multiple training sessions within the town a couple weeks ago, and it was very well attended. The website seems to be being used by the various departments. You notice it's a little bit more dynamic. People are uploading their minutes and their agendas. Ted picked up the video portion of it literally overnight. So, you know, he was a little concerned, you know, about the process, but it's beautiful. He highlights them, clicks them, walks away, and they upload. So it's worked out really well. The nice thing is you can also kind of see the number of views that people are looking at, and they're definitely looking at the videos. We're still testing the Google ads on them to see what kind of ads. We've put explicit filters on it, so you can't have any bad ads running. We're trying to see what kind of input there is on that. Right now, during the testing, I don't know, we're making like $1 a day. Still, you know. So eventually, you know, we'll see. You know, right now we really kind of have them hidden to the lower left of the actual page. But we can actually eventually run those Google ads throughout the various posts and things like that, but still $1 a day is better than nothing. Overall, on the financial side, the old site cost us $84.95 per month, about $1,000 a year. It was $3,057 for 3 years. The new site costs us $182 a year, $546 for 3 years. So we saved about, I think it's 82% over the current web hosting costs. Thing I've talked to Greg about is, you know how we have the dudleyma.gov? Well, the federal government actually runs that domain, the .govs. It's administered through the GSA, General Services Administration. They charge right now $125 a year just to have the .gov extension. Effective January 1st, they're raising that to $400 a year just to have the name. In the private sector, you can get .com, .info, whatever it might be, .net for $12 a year. And you can actually get more security encryption keys than what the .gov provides. But the issue is all of the existing emails within the town have the dudleyma.gov. So if you give up that, it requires a whole email transition to the, when we registered the new site, we do own townofdudley.com, but there's that intangible cost of, you know, do you pay the $400 to the federal government for a domain that is what it is, in order to avoid possibly the hundreds of dollars or thousands of dollars in transition costs for moving all your emails and the archiving and everything else. So that's, Deb renewed the .gov domain under the $125 until like the end of September of 2017, which is the most that she could have done. So there's about a little less than a year to figure it out, but I thought it was interesting. Top page views, still the assessor's office. Number one, most popular page on the internet is the assessor's office. Yep. And people definitely looking up at their property assessments and paying their bills. That's the other thing. So, but so far so good. A little later on today, you know, we're gonna continue to sit down and train.
Excuse me.
I've committed personally to, you know, support the town for 90 days from launch, so pretty much till December 15th. But let me tell you, Deb is doing a fantastic job. A lot of the different departments are really embracing it. And the more they use it, you know, the more, you know, proficient they'll get at it. So very pleased. On the economic development side, we have to really kind of figure out what we want to do with our section. You'll notice on the website now there is that whole economic development. We still need some content, but I think now that the website's launched and it's pretty much on autopilot, we can start thinking about listing those properties that are available. And so one of the questions I had was, how do you do it without having a conflict between realtors and some of these national listing services? Some of the national listing services will pay per click, you know, if you actually list the real estate listings through them. But we'd like to kind of keep that local. So I don't know if we think we should put it out to bid and partner with a real estate agency. Because what we'd like to be able to eventually, what we talked about as a board before, Greg, was we'd like to have a new residence section. So if someone's thinking about moving into town, it's kind of like a welcome section, but also show all the properties that are available. On the commercial side, we'd like to take all of the vacant office space or retail space and be able to list that as well. And we're just trying to figure out the fairest way to do that, where it can bring revenue in for the town, but also we'd like to be able to tie into, most realtors have the MLS listing system that can be incorporated into our site and actually display the listings by zip code. So I don't know if we do just a simple bid and just say, okay, this is what we're looking to do, and, you know, do we just say that.
Yeah, I think that's in the interest of fairness, I think that's the way to do it. It's just a simple solicitation, doesn't have to be bid.
Okay.
But some type of formal solicitation so that everyone has an opportunity to participate.
Now, is it the board's inclination to go with a pay-per-click? Or, right now, we charge for the ads that are on there, $25 a month or $250 a year if they pay for 12 months. And so you'll see, you know, some of our website supporters. Do we do something similar, or do we do a pay-per-click that way? Or do we do a monthly? Well, what's the inclination to do this?
Which one do you think would result in more revenue? That's how I would lean.
Yeah. Pay-per-click, probably.
Yeah, the pay-per-click, if people are using it, I think advertisers like that better because they can actually see what someone coming to
Who's
their
come
site
to
will
their
cost.
website. That's more of a.
I'm just trying to think with the MLS service, if you tie into their feed, if you can capture that click.
I have a little issue. I don't know that we have the right, even as realtors, to set you up through the MLS. I think you really should contact MLS direct, because I don't think we have the right to do that, to just sell off and give you access. We have fines on stuff doing that kind of thing.
Yeah, with the MLS, the town would not be able to deal directly with MLS because we're not licensed real estate brokers or agents. The MLS feed, like say through Realtor.com, I guess each agent has their own MLS number,
Right.
which allows them access to that. We wouldn't actually be linking to MLS. We would be linking to the realtor who actually has a subscription to MLS. So on it, we would have to say, okay, these real estate listings are supplied by ABC Realty Corp. All right, the town does not guarantee, right? We have a little disclaimer on it, but it's really the realtor that has bought that section and is advertising their listings through the MLS on that. We're just able to display them with the technology that's there today.
Because every time I can set someone up for MLS, but every individual gets a different code
Yep.
to go in there.
Yeah, so if an individual realty firm wants to solicit on this, it's up to that realtor firm to determine who's the sales rep ID that they're gonna use, because basically that's who's gonna get the commission if something's sold, or if someone buys something or contacts.
Yeah, actually, all it's going to do is give somebody access in. They don't necessarily end up using that agent.
Yeah, that's true,
It's just access of information.
yeah. So,
It's interesting, because
Yeah.
we have so many things we have to be careful of now,
yeah.
of what we allow people to do.
Yeah, and the key is that we're not going to be manipulating the data in any way. It's basically a pass-through transaction, but you know, any real estate agency who's looking to bid on this, what their hope is that that person who clicks and sees their logo and their picture, and that these listings are provided by ABC Realty Corporation,
Call them.
will call them, exactly. So the town can, you know, the MLS simply won't deal with town because we're not brokers. So that's why it has to be through a broker. See, I can do it through, say, one of the national ones like Realtor.com or
Yeah.
Zillow. And that's basically what you're in effect doing, is you're taking their feed and passing it through. That's why it says real estate listings provided by whatever the
Gotcha.
company is.
Okay.
But what we'd like to do is bring it down to the local level. I'd rather have a local real estate benefit from it, because at the end of the day, no one knows the market better than a local realtor.
So it can't be done as a donation? Couldn't that realtor do, if you came up with a fee, do they have to actually advertise on it? I don't know if you could get access, but it's just direct to the town, and the town being the focus, but the agent or the company getting the write-off of having donated that to the community.
Well, it's really, well, the town's looking, there's a revenue opportunity for the town. So the town is looking to capture revenue from.
Gotcha, okay.
Yeah, So it's really not a donation, it's more
Right.
of an advertising space. But what I'll do for the next meeting is I'll have a draft spec created, and then we can approve it, modify it, tweak it,
That's a great
because that'd be nice.
Sure.
Because, you know, I really liked the board's idea of, you know, if someone is looking to relocate in to actually see a display, okay, so right now, right, we just have some verbose language under, say, retail, and we tried to find out all the retail, and it's a manual process. But it'd be nice to actually show all the vacant retail office space.
Could the town actually get into Dot Loop then, which is commercial? They don't charge me to do some of that stuff. I wonder if the town is able to do Dot Loop, which is commercial.
Are you talking LoopNet?
Yeah,
Yes, we can. We can get revenue on that. And so that you bring up a great point. So do we do a separate one for residential and then a separate one for commercial industrial? Because they really are kind
yeah,
of
I
two different
think you do.
markets.
They're two different things.
right.
Definitely.
All right.
Commercial people are looking at the other one.
I'm looking at the LoopNet one.
Yep,
LoopNet?
yep.
Okay.
And there's no fee, I mean, you can get a different level as an agent to go to that, but in general, you can put your stuff on and they don't charge.
All right, so maybe what I'll do is I'll go to LoopNet too and see which local advertisers or commercial brokers show up.
Yeah,
And then when we have the spec, I'll just mail it to them. Maybe, you know, we can tie into that and keep it local as well.
I think it's a great idea, John. First off, I apologize, Mr. Chairman, for being late today, and everyone else. As many of you know, I'm a commercial lender with Bank Hometown, and I meet a lot of business customers. And what you were both just talking about with available commercial space and things like that, I'm talking to a lot of owners of companies that, you know, that are looking to either expand or move. To have access to that, I think would be very, very valuable. And if we could get some sort of a revenue stream coming in for every click or whatever, and like you said, benefiting the local realtors and folks instead of just anybody out there, but directing them to somebody locally so they can benefit, I think would be huge. That's my take on it.
Excellent. All right, so I'll pursue that, and then we'll put that on the topic, you know, for the next meeting. The one thing that came out from the trainings about the website is when we first launched, we had a tremendous surge of attacks. They have all ceased,
Nice.
all right, from some of the things that we've done. But it was also brought up that in doing that, we basically locked down a whole bunch of countries. So if you were from Pakistan, you couldn't get into our site. If you were from Nigeria, you couldn't get into our site. So all those attacks are now gone. We haven't had an attack in weeks.
Nice.
But it was brought up that we do have some companies here that have some international headquarters. So I'm going to be talking with Deb a little later. I think what we'll do is we'll experiment in slowly unlocking countries. And maybe the first one we'll unlock is Germany, since Germany seems to be a pretty big investor
Hanky
in
Sass
Central
Wolf.
Mass. Exactly. And we'll monitor that closely. But I really did think about that after those trainings. And I was like, you know.
Proceed with caution.
Yeah.
My advice, because I would rather exclude some of the bad hombres,
Yeah.
for lack of a better word, and as you said, proceed with some that are less risky than your Nigerias and Pakistans and
Yeah.
places that are notorious for hackers that want to get in and destroy websites.
Exactly. So, I mean, there is a way to do it down to the individual IP address. So if we knew the actual IP address of the Henke SAS headquarters, we could just allow them in. But we'll proceed with caution. If we see anything, we're just going to lock it down again. So, but that's pretty much the update on the website. But, you know, it's really encouraging to see all the various departments. Council on Agents having a lot of fun with it already. They're advertising their Oktoberfest and Halloween parties and cafes. And now some of the boards we have to continue to do some work on because, like for instance, conservation is, we're working with them to try to do some customization on theirs because they have these forms for different processes and procedures, and then there's like a 5 or 6 different forms and titles, so we're trying to find a solution. I think we've got one, but it'll continue to be tweaked over the next 90 days. And the other thing on the agenda here was under old business, was the Dudley business brochure. Does anybody have any information on that at this point? Oh, you do?
I actually do. I was at a meeting earlier with Barbara Zarowski, and she wanted me to give a little bit of information. Unfortunately, she had a client who had a fire today, so she had to go and check that out for her insurance company. She said that she had been in touch with Dennis Craig. He has everything that he needs, that he's in the process right now of putting everything together, a draft for us, and she will be in contact with him, and so she'll be able to, once that draft is done, she'll be able to present it to us for approval, to see if there's any edits or anything like that that need to be done. She apologized for not being able to make it today, so that's where she's at.
Did she say if she needed anything from anybody?
No, she said right now that he has everything, that she's
Okay.
got everything, that she did mention that somebody had contacted her regarding the actual content, and that everything was being worked on, and a final draft should be forthcoming pretty soon, so,
Excellent.
a first
All right.
draft.
All right, under new business, I was talking to Joanne a little earlier, and I thought she had some great information about the housing market here in Dudley and some of the issues. So, Joanne, will you give us, I don't know, maybe a real estate update or
Sure,
someone
we
people?
can let you know what's going on. The market has been extremely strong in Dudley. What's come on, the big draw again seems to be our schools. That is always an attraction of people into the area, and the flavor of the community. I think once they realize that we are not miles and miles away from the world and they can get here easily, it does attract them. Our tax rate is attractive to them. But the biggest issues we're finding in real estate today is that a lot of the properties that are owned by people, they have done work to, and they may have either never taken out a permit or taken out a permit and never had it signed off. And those issues, because of buyers having home inspections done on it, get triggered on that part of it, and they get a second trigger when the appraiser comes through. The appraiser is going to go in, pull the file on your property. If he is questioning whether you have an accessory unit or a legal two-family, they're going to follow up and see that it is indeed a legal one. Or if you put in a wood stove, did you get the sign-off on that wood stove? If you put on an addition, did you get the sign-off? Did you get the permit? People are intimidated or try to play the game sometimes of let's beat the assessor. And they think they're going to beat the assessor by not taking out a permit, because those permits will go to the building department, out to the assessors. The assessors will go out annually and update the field card. And the next year, we are going to pick up on that. They find that in the long run now, that is not a benefit to you. You really need to make sure the sign-offs are what you should have, or you're going to be going back. And if you get someone who is very demanding in different towns, let's say you made an apartment in the basement, or you put in a kitchen area, if that can be interpreted as a potential rental area, the appraiser's going to know that the kitchen may have to be taken out. If you did an easy one we see all the time, you have an above-ground pool. You got a permit for the pool, you never got the permit signed off, and then the inspector says you needed a gate at the top of the above-ground pool to close it off, which means we know you couldn't have gotten it inspected, or that would have come up to get your sign off on the permit. You're back doing those things. And in some cases, you can catch a problem that may have required a variance because someone messed up, came out too close on a sideline or a setback, and you can't solve that 3 days before closing. You can solve that earlier to go to your Board of Appeals and see if you're eligible and meet criteria. But last-minute crisis is not a good thing, so that's one of the big areas. The second big area are environmental issues. People really need to go into their attics and check, do they have mold? You could have had a house that was built years ago, and the builder may not have vented out your bathroom area out of the house. They vented it into your attic, and then you find you have black mold. You could have $500 worth, you could have $3,000 worth of work to do. You could have caught that earlier before you put it on the market. It will not go away. On an FHA appraisal, the appraiser actually goes up into your attic area, holds the camera, and takes a picture of your attic. So it's being checked by a number of people. The part on that also will be if you have wells, if you've not tested your well recently. Yeah, Dudley has had some pockets of arsenic. They are testing higher. Part of it is because the standard has been lowered, which means you passed when you built, you won't pass now potentially. And you may need a system that goes in. And the other one is radon in the house. It's not going away. I live on Schofield Ave. You want me to take the bet how the houses? I'd be telling you if you had a house on Schofield Ave, test it, because it's odds on in your favor that you're not going to have radon. We're one of the higher pockets, radon, New Boston Road, different areas. So agents, we know where they're at. And years ago, all agents represented a seller. That's no longer true. You have buyer representation. So a buyer agent's going to recommend to their buyer all of these tests. It's not going away. So finding it sooner rather than later, even if you're not going to sell right now, I would pay attention to those kind of details to preserve the value in your property. It's just smarter as a homeowner to do that.
How about the values or like the prices of properties? Do you find people are getting their asking prices, or is it?
What you're finding is, I've lived through 1985 when you could have bought a house and made 35% appreciation in a year. That was not normal. I have lived through 1990 when you had depreciation, your house was worth less than what you thought. Same thing happened in 2006. Stable market is pretty much where we're at. You're going to see appreciation 2.5% to 4%. That's a normal market. I think we're back to normal. There's no real, there are a few pockets in Massachusetts that are stronger than where we are, but there are a number of reasons that contribute to that. But I think we're in a normal market. Our values are good. If you talk to the assessors, we had a meeting the other week, looked at that, and we try and update the public through our meetings to tell them what's going on. But we're seeing the values come up, and that it's better. But it then becomes, you may have gone up in value, and now you have $15,000 worth of work to do to your property because you didn't pay attention and do what you should have done. So that's, I think, one of the strong points we can tell our homeowners in town. Pay attention, keep up with your property, and environmental issues will not go away. They are here. And try not to hide from the building department. We have a great building inspector. He is very people-friendly to help you solve the problems that you have. He's not out there to try and find the whole world, but he's also, his hands are tied with what the law is. We have to be in compliance with what's required.
And for an individual that has done something on their property, you know, self-repair or whatever, or did that pool, whatever, when they go to the building department and try to make things right, the building department doesn't penalize them in any way, right? I mean, the building department is very friendly. They just have to, what the building department will do is just force them to go through whatever the procedure is or the permitting process is to get the house up to code, right?
In some cases, they have created a major, I go back probably 8 years ago, I had a person who moved into a house, never got an occupancy permit. And then, when he went to sell, he was involved in a relocation situation, and relocation is protective for liability. He had about $14,000 worth of work to go back and do because he got initial sign-offs, never got final sign-offs for a reason. He had not done the work correctly and did not pay some of his people, so he had issues. In general, it's not meant to punish you, but it is designed to protect you with that occupancy permit on those things. So in general, I think most of them, again, I think our building inspector is very, very good to try and direct you what you need to do. But you can't expect him to turn his head from something you did that you need. And I never ask that, even as an agent. Tell me what we need to do. Let's get it back on track. And that initial problem on the occupancy turned up because when we went to get the Title V done, we found out they had never gotten the sign off on that. So it just triggered one more thing after another that the research turned up. And that's, everybody can check their own property. You can check, go in and look at the file. I've had people tell me, oh, I got a permit to do an in-law apartment, and then found out they got a permit for a single-family house. Well, that's not going to work. It's just you have to do what you have to do. And so be smart. Your biggest investment most people have is their real estate. And saying you didn't know is not going to solve it. When I see dumpsters out on the weekend, dumpster arrives, that says to me somebody may be game playing to try and get a roof done before the Monday comes, and this is in the city, because those building inspectors are out there patrolling. We in little towns have part-time people. So their hopes in some cases come in, get it done, move out, never have gotten a permit, and that homeowner doesn't understand, that professional should have had you get a permit. Either they get it or you get it. That was not a smart move. A lot of towns, and we've started to do that, is to record on your field card permits that have been obtained. Towns like Shrewsbury have been tough on that for years. So you can look at the field card and see whether or not you had permits. When I look at your house, I'm looking to see a heads up. And I see work done, and I'm looking to see, did you get the permit to do it? It won't go away.
Joanne, is there something, like, do we, maybe others here on the board know, on the website, or that residents have kind of like a quick little summary of typical things and what is required? You know, like if I wanted to remodel a room, or if I wanted to put up a deck or a roof, is there some place where they can go and say, hey, do I need a permit for this?
Your building department's your focal. They're the enforcer of that. So I would say, more than anybody, they're the ones who should be dispersing that information.
Yeah.
They have a checklist of things you need permits for and what we charge, but it's always about money. The reason people don't want to get a permit is they're trying to avoid paying. And then if you're caught, you know what, the fine's twice the amount. So it wasn't a smart move.
Yeah.
You know, you need to do what you need to do to protect the biggest investment you have.
Yeah, the building department has put on their website a whole bunch of different forms and applications, and you can see all the different forms, from minor remodels to major remodels, to the swimming pool, then ground up ground, to, I saw things for the stoves, as you said, like the wood-burning stoves, which people should be doing anyhow for their own safety. So we'll continue, and maybe what we could even do is ask the building department to do a nice little post about, you know, maybe actually create a list of all those things that, if you're thinking about doing it,
Just something like, really like,
yeah.
do I need a permit, question, you know, and then just have like, you know, examples, like frequently asked questions. Do I need a permit if I'm going to whatever? And then have a link. I mean, you're the IT genius. You know, something that we could, just get them, make it real user-friendly, so they can, at that point, it's just like, listen, you know, we kind of made it pretty easy for you, and like you said, if you don't do it, trying to save a couple of bucks, like Joanne said, and you're gonna get fined double. And we do have folks that are really easy to deal with, who aren't gonna just be going out looking to fine you and do all these things. You know, let the town know about it, so they're not as, you know, they're more informed, I guess, and have an easier access to it.
We're very fortunate to have a very people-friendly town hall.
Oh, yeah.
And that means even the boards we have, if you were on the water and you want to take down a tree, I'm telling you, don't take down the tree till you get to conservation. And they've gone out and looked at property for me and told me what might be needed to do something. They're very good. They're not paid people on these boards. They do have staff that take applications, but they try to work with the public. They're not adversarial on this. And I think that's a big part. They're community-oriented, and they're there to help everybody get it done and get it done the right way. It's just smarter.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions?
Very informative.
All right.
Do you have one more set of, did we vote on this other one where we
Yes,
didn't have to-
we can vote on that now. So we had to hold off on the,
July?
yeah, it was July 21st minutes, just because we needed enough votes.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. So I don't know if you had a chance
Yeah,
to
let me just quickly,
look at them.
August 18th, July.
All right, so the chair will entertain a motion to accept the minutes of July 21st, 2016.
I make that motion.
And Marcia's made the motion. Is there a second?
I second.
All right, Todd, a second. Okay, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Greg, would you like to add anything?
No, I think Joanne covered it all. Occasionally I go with the building inspector and we will drive around town. We're not looking for property. However, if a neighbor complains about someone's put up a shed or a gazebo in their backyard, and it happens to be right on the property line, and it gets the neighbor's attention, that's generally how the issues are brought to the town. And I know that Nelson, the building inspector, as Joanne has very ably said, they are there to help the public and try to help resolve the issues. So I would encourage people to come in. Don't come in and chat with the assessors, come in and see the building department. Thank you, Joanne.
The one thing I'd ask the board's permission for is, we're gonna be tackling a 5-year economic development plan after the first of the year, after we get the brochure done and some other things. I'd like the board's permission to reach out to Nichols and ask them if they would be willing to have an advisory role to the board during this process, because, you know, as Nichols continues to grow, I think having a strong partnership with them and making sure that our plan, you know, is in alignment with them and some of the things that they're doing as well, I think that would be important. So just the board blessing to reach out to them and maybe begin a relationship.
Definitely.
Absolutely. Do we need a motion for that, or?
No, just,
Absolutely.
Marcia?
It only makes sense.
Okay. And I would encourage you, if I set up any meetings, I'll let the board know, and anybody wants to join us. But I think to even, you know, sit in, because we're gonna have to have public hearings and things along those lines with that, but a good winter project.
I think people don't understand what really, what community means to a lot of us. I mean, I deal with the city of Worcester, and it's a different feel when you're in the city. We go into stores, we know each other by name, we go to meetings, we know each other. We're really all involved, and we have a lot of pride, I think, in our town. And I think that's because we're not huge. We've always had a nice flavor to the community, and I think that's a plus for us. So I think we've never tried to exclude anybody to participate, and I think that involving all those people that are bigger contributors to the town, either economically or because they just have been involved in the town, it's a great thing. I look back years ago, Nichols College, when my mother was the area rep for Red Cross, she worked with them for years in doing Christmas baskets where those kids raised money. They donated the baskets, they got all the it was a hands-on thing, and they delivered them to those families that were needy. It was unbelievable. So I have a soft spot for them because of that, because I saw how they did all those things. And they did it gratefully. They were very happy to be participants like that. Some of those people now own houses in Dudley. They stayed in the community. They weren't necessarily from the community, and I think it's a big part.
Wow,
That's
a
great.
great story.
Excellent.
This is a different generation, and maybe reaching out like that would help the situation, because not all the students from Nichols are respectful of our community at this point in time. So maybe some work needs to be done on that level.
Fair enough. All right, is there anything else?
In doing the minutes, I reviewed the last 4 meetings, and topics came up that came and went. I did bring a copy of we talked about the master plan, and this is the Dudley Community Development Plan that took place in 2010. The real focus was, if you go through all this, is maintaining the integrity, the character of the town more than zeroing in on economic development. And if you know, the people who were involved, that is their focus. It lists the people who were involved. But anyway, here's the hard copy. I don't know if we have it.
This is what's it called, the Community Development Plan?
Dudley Community Development Plan.
Do you know if we have that in electronic format?
No, but I remember having to do those in one of the towns that I was in, because you had to have that plan in place to become eligible for all types of state money and grant money that was out there. So, probably not, but I'll ask Don, the town planner, when he's in,
Okay.
to see if we have an electronic copy of that.
Yeah. But anyway, if anybody's interested in looking at it,
I'd love to take a peek at it.
okay, all right.
In worst case, since you have an original, I mean, we could always scan it
Scan
through.
it, sure.
Be a huge file.
We can, I can
Lot of
scan it and
pages.
send it out to everyone.
Okay.
That might be an easier way to do it. And then, Marcia, you want me to just give it back to you and leave it in the office?
Sure.
Okay.
And another thing that came up, Todd had mentioned, we really don't have a feel for what is the center of town. You know, historically, it's Dudley Center where the college and the Grange is. We no longer have a post office there for the public. I think Nichols has their own post office. So to me, the center of a town is where commerce occurs. So it just, Route 197, West Main Street seems to be what makes most sense. And there isn't, even though a lot of us older folks have a strong community feeling, younger generations are busy raising their family and working and sports and that sort of thing. We get, luckily, 60 people at our town meetings. We have 11,000 residents or over, and there's been times where we had to go out and get people to get a quorum for the meeting. Sometimes you go in when there's gonna be a town meeting, there's a banner across the main street. And to me, doesn't even feel commercial, it feels community. We're having a town meeting, and it generates number one, a lot of families don't even know there's gonna be one, and it generates more of a fellowship to me. We don't even have our sign now, out in front of the town hall, saying anything about town meetings or board meetings, and I'm told that it's falling apart. The town declined spending $30,000 on a new electronic one. I don't even think an electronic one for the town community is the answer anyway. To me, that's more of a commercial thing. It works at the library, but I don't know if I'd want it on West Main Street. But I think that we should look into at least repairing what we have so we can post our meetings. And it doesn't look like rocket science to repair that little thing down there.
Just so you know, we have an article on town meeting, so the cost has gone down to just a little bit over $23,000 for the electronic sign, two-sided color. This morning, I noted the library does have the town meeting posted. I drove by.
Oh, great.
And it actually looks nice. So we're endeavoring to try to do the same thing, and hopefully the public will support the request for $23,000 in funding, because the sign that's out front was originally constructed under the Massachusetts Tobacco Control Program. And my recollection is that was back sometime in the mid-1990s. So what happens is there's lattice work within that sign, which is affixed to the wooden frame, and that has fallen apart. We've tried to repair it, no such luck. So I agree, we want to advertise, we want to promote, we want to have information out there for the residents. This is a very well-traveled road. I mean, I don't live in Dudley, but I see the amount of traffic that goes up and down this road every day, and it's really amazing the number of people that drive through here. So we're hopeful that the sign gets approved. And town meeting is fairly quiet, but for the fact that we have the large fire station project that's on the agenda, and there's some number of other spending requests, but there's nothing major from an economic development perspective at this time that's on the warrant. So encourage people to come on Monday evening, 7 o'clock, to Shepherd Hill High School.
Perfect. All right, with that in mind, Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion, we adjourn?
All right, it's been made. Ellen seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right.
Thank you.
What was it, November 17th?
Yes.
Yeah. I know. Fred, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Always appreciate it.